Welcome to the next episode. This is Christine, and we are continuing to build with Claude Code. In the previous episode, we just set up our scripts for continuous integration, and we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so now the next step that I want to do is I want to also set up continuous deployment so that when something pushes and it passes the test, if it's pushed to main, I want it also to deploy to fly.io. So I'm thinking of that for pushes to main that deploy to fly.io. So at this point, I just wanted to explain what it's going to do. So you need to create a new workflow fly for deployment. Will run only pushes to main. It should first run the CI test, then use fly.io's GitHub Actions. You'll need to store the fly.io token as a GitHub secret and install the fly CLI and deploy the front end and back end separately with fly deploy. All right, I'll say why not go ahead and create it. Go ahead and create the file. And again, if we look in here, yeah, it's going to call it deploy. We should get a new file called deploy in here with everything that we need for pushes. So it'll depend on previous workflow to be, so it triggers on pushes to main, and if the CI workflow works correctly, then I need to probably set up a few things in here to deploy, and deploys the backend first, which is good, and then deploys the fly API token. Obviously, before this can work, I need to set up the apps for both the backend and front end and create the fly.io configuration files for both the directories. So let me go ahead and ask it to do that. Help me create the fly.io configuration to fly for both backend and front end. Hope I'm asking the right question here. All right, so we've got this configuration fly. It's setting it up, internal port 8080, and that's the app name, subscription-backend. Okay, sounds good. Of course, I might have to change the name of the app if it's already taken. So it's creating a Docker file for the backend as well. Now it's up to the front end, and it's creating that same fly app. And I probably just want my app to be called something different. Let's say name the app sub spot. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Change that, and we should get the file set up. And then for the Docker file, we've got this information in here as well, Nginx conf file to get everything running. And I think we should be in good shape. The only thing we probably need to do, and this is just from knowing how fly.io is set up, is we need to go ahead and set up the applications. And for that to happen, I can either do it from the command line, or I could go to the dashboard and set that up as well. So for the front end, I will just say I'll probably, do I need this? Yeah, but that's not the right URL, is it? Oh, won't the URL not have API? And won't it be read from fly.io secrets? I'm just kind of asking it about this. If it wants me to create the m.production, I am good with that as well. So the Nginx config says, let's update the config. Yeah, you're right. Let's correct this. We should use invariable from secrets rather than hard coding them. Okay, I am good with that. Another thing that I didn't see it do is that I didn't see it actually set up the information from the database. So I'm going to ask it about that as well. But let me go ahead and let it do that. So we've got the doc entry point, APRL, all right. Sometimes keeping track of all these environment variables can be a little tricky, but we'll do our best. Install, okay, add no cache. So it's done a bunch of things. It wants to create a guide, which I'll probably, might be useful, but I do have a question that I want to ask it as well. What about the production Turso database setup? Because I think it's forgot about that as well, and that is pretty important. So yes, we need to address that. So sign up for Turso if you haven't, and then create the database with the URL, get the database URL, and create an auth token, and use that as secrets to your backend. And then use the steps in your CI/CD workflow to update the database as needed. I'm going to take that and copy it offline because this is going to be useful. Update the CI/CD workflows with this info as needed. Okay, so it's got the CLI in here. It's running the database migrations. I kind of don't want it to do that, do I? So it can auth log with the auth token and set up the init and run the seed. I thought the database initialization ran in the code. Yeah, it says you're right. It's just happening in the code itself, so we probably just need to run the fly deploy after setting up all of the secrets configured, and that's all we need to do. So it's going to head and updating the deploy, And the only thing I'm wondering about is the URL that we need for the front end, knowing how to point to the back end. Okay, this is also quite useful. It's giving me all the information that I need to do to set it up. So I will go ahead and tell it to create this file. Yep, because I'm going to use this as I go ahead and make sure I cover everything and get it all set up. Claude is being super helpful. It wanted to set up a script that's going to help me with everything initially. That's quite a bit. I'll just say no. I'll just do it one by one. Let's not have magic happening here. Okay, so it's a summary of what I need to do and what it's set up so far. So I'm going to go into the deployment.md file, which it has created to help manually set up everything so I make sure things are going really well. So here are the steps that I'm going to be working through. And as I work through that, I will take this offline and come back in the next episode when I have everything set up, because what we're going to do at that point is to create that GitHub repo remotely and test out these GitHub Actions workflow to make sure that we can actually send the code up to Fly.io. So thank you again for your attention. This was a slightly long one because we were just going through the deployment workflow. There's a lot of moving parts and it might be hard to keep them in track, but join us again. Hopefully at the next step, we'll be able to get it all up and running on Fly.io. So thanks again and look forward to seeing you again in our next episode of Building with Claude Code.